All right, the last story I wanted to bring you guys is what I can only describe as a complete witch hunt that is unfolding right now in Hollywood. Here's the very latest, but there's a whole lot of other pieces here. But let's go ahead and start with this. So Melissa Barrera, who was starring in Scream 7, has reportedly been fired from the Scream franchise for denouncing the genocide in Gaza. One of her posts, I tried to look at, what it was that she said that was apparently so insane and abhorrent and quote unquote anti-Semitic that she got fired for. One of them, she had an Instagram post that said, "I too come from a colonized country. Palestine will be free. They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds." In addition, she shared a Jewish Insider article with an Israeli historian making the case that Israel's actions in Gaza constitute genocide. So I don't know if there were other posts in addition, but these are the ones that have come to people's attention on social media that apparently were sufficient to get her fired from the Scream franchise. The Spyglass put out a statement explaining their decision to fire her from this film and this franchise. They said, quote, "We have zero tolerance for anti-Semitism or the incitement of hate in any form, including false references to genocide." So that would reference when she was sharing a Jewish Insider Israeli historian analysis of what is unfolding in Gaza right now. Ethnic cleansing, Holocaust distortion, or anything that flagrantly crosses the line into hate speech. So that is their justification. But as I mentioned, she is far from alone in facing professional consequences, severe professional consequences, for daring to have wrongthink on the Israel and Palestine conflict. Variety had a great report where they, went through some of the well-known instances, some of the instances that have been reported. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. I want to go through a few of these. So they talk about, and we covered this previously, CAA, one of their top agents, Mahad Akil, ignited a firestorm with her Instagram post, including one that said, "What's more heartbreaking than witnessing genocide? Witnessing the denial that genocide is happening." In response, she was relieved of her duties as co-chief of the motion pictures department. Ultimately, she was allowed to stay on as an agent. And a lot of people are pointing to the intervention directly of one of her clients, Tom Cruise, on her behalf, who showed up in person to make it clear that he was backing her. So Tom Cruise to the rescue on that one. However, she still was demoted. And apparently there was a lot of fallout at the agency in both directions. People very upset that she was demoted at all, and people upset that she wasn't fired and axed completely thanks to Tom Cruise's intervention. You have them coming apparently for Boots Riley. La La Land producer Mark Platt texted WME leadership, that's another big Hollywood agency, about why Boots Riley was still a client after the Sorry to Bother You writer-director urged his followers on X to boycott an industry screening footage of Hamas atrocities in LA. So he told people not to go to this screening of Hamas atrocities, and now people are trying to get him fired. Several agents at UTA, another big agency, have expressed outrage internally over a recent open letter spearheaded by writer Ta-Nehisi Coates, believe he should be dropped from the agency's roster. Coates was the first signature on an October 14th letter that many industryites felt dehumanized Israelis and softened Hamas's actions with such lines as, "Hamas militants broke out of Gaza. More than 1,300 Israelis were subsequently killed." The agency is sticking with him, though it has severed ties with Susan Sarandon over her controversial words on the conflict. Susan Sarandon, of course, a noted activist, very courageous in all sorts of circumstances, and has been speaking out on behalf of the humanity of Palestinians. And that was apparently enough to get her dropped from her talent agency, in spite of all of her long record of work and accomplishments. CAA, too, has been willing to cut ties over problematic social media missives. The agency fired assistant German Barakat over her post that called all Israelis white supremacists and mocked a post from the country's official handle that stated even Israelis deserve to live by calling it a fascist regime. CAA also dropped Sarah Rao and Regina Jackson, who co-wrote the 2022 book, White Women, Everything You Already Know About Your Own Racism and How to Do Better. They were fine with it when they were doing anti-racist work, but now it's another story. Their social media posts got them fired. Rao wrote on X, "Zionists are starting to panic that more and more of the world sees them for the bloodthirsty genocidal ghouls that they are." And maybe the line in this that was the most stunning to me was that apparently WhatsApp text chains have popped up all over Hollywood, sharing instances of perceived anti-Semitism. WMEs is particularly lively, they say. One member derided director Ava DuVernay for posting in support of that agent that I mentioned at the beginning who was demoted, that Tom Cruise intervened on her behalf. And that's why this really, you can't describe it as anything other than a witch hunt. You've got these WhatsApp text chains flying around with people trying to scrape Instagram posts and find any instance where they feel that the person said the wrong thing and deserves to be blacklisted, deserves to be fired, deserves to be punished for it. It's utter insanity. And of course, it's not just in Hollywood where we've seen this happen. We've seen all sorts of censorship, coming from official governments, certainly the government of Israel, government of France. We've seen people losing their jobs over things that they said in support of Palestinians. The climate is like it's unimaginable. I mean, it really is just like the war on terror era, when anyone who said anything different than official U.S. government policy was branded a terrorist sympathizer. And now you layer on this, sort of like weaponization or use of woke language to brand anyone who has a different opinion as an anti-Semite, worthy of scorn, worthy of blacklisting, worthy of being shoved down of polite society. And aggressive efforts by the ADL to say that if you have a critique of Zionism, that makes you anti-Semitic. I mean, that's insane. Zionism is a political project. There are many Jews who are anti-Zionists. There are many non-Jews who are Zionists. If you can't critique a political ideology without being smeared and branded as somehow a racist anti-Semite, that's insane. It's insane that, you can't critique a foreign government without being smeared and branded as an anti-Semite and fired and facing all these professional consequences. That's completely insane. And so this climate of fear has seemingly completely overtaken Hollywood, maybe more than any other place. And, it's noteworthy because, of course, with previous political moments, Hollywood has tended to be more unified on the liberal side of things. And so now you have this huge schism, and people apparently, they're out for blood. They're out aggressively trying to fire and cancel absolutely anyone who disagrees with the stated, official U.S. policy. You are not allowed to dissent and keep your agents, keep your, ties to Hollywood elites, keep your roles and your credits in films. Wild to watch what is unfolding right now. And just goes back to, with so many of these things, the throwback vibes to the war on terror and the, freakouts and the panics and the witch hunts of that time. So much of this, it just seems like we have not learned any lessons, and we are retreading so much of the history that I had thought and hoped perhaps we had put behind us. So in any case, that's what I got for you today. Thanks so much, guys, for supporting us. I hope all of you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And if anything else pops off that's big, of course, we will keep you updated. But otherwise, and we do have some great content for you, too, that we recorded. A long interview I did with Norm Finkelstein, long interview that Sagar did with Jocko Willink. And those are going to be posted a little bit earlier for premium subscribers. We're also going to release a few teaser clips of that too. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Those are some longer conversations. We thought it'd be a good way to dive into some deeper topics over the long Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Enjoy your time, guys. And we will certainly see you back here for full shows next week on Monday.